think what I want to do is I want to take you inside the courtroom now, because when they stand, that means the jury is in. Let's go inside that courtroom.
Great, thank you. If you will hand the verdict form to our bailiff. All right, Mr. Gerhardt, if you will stand up, and the clerk will publish the verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the 3rd Judicial Circuit in and for Dixie County, Florida, case number DI-2023-19-CF-A, State of Florida versus Waymore Gerhardt, defendant. Verdict of the jury. We, the jury, find as follows as to the defendant in this case. As to count 1 of the indictment, which charges first-degree murder, A, the defendant is guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. We, the jury, further find the defendant discharged a firearm, causing the death of Demiah Appling. As to count 2 of the indictment, which charges tampering with evidence, A, the defendant is guilty of tampering with evidence as charged in the indictment. So say we all, dated at Dixie County, Florida, this 13th day of February, 2026, signed for a person.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You may be seated. Does anyone wish to poll the jury?
We're going to leave the question to poll the jury.
Yes, okay. Do you mind polling the jury? Ladies and gentlemen, what this means is that our clerk will ask you individually if this is in fact your verdict. You'll just need to answer out loud.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Ms. Flynn?
All right, so Waymore Gerhardt found guilty of all charges. He was facing 2 charges, first-degree murder. They also found an aggravator there with the discharge of a firearm and also tampering with evidence. As you remember, the defense basically conceded that. They conceded that he helped to bury the body, but were again claiming that he was not the one responsible for the murder of Demiah. Let's bring back in Alexis Rosenberg, trial attorney, joining us this hour. Alexis, quickly, I want to get your reaction to the verdict.
Well, no surprise, right? And I'm not so sure he's so surprised either. As he was standing there, it kind of looked like he knew what was coming, that his attorneys had advised him that was most likely going to be the verdict.
Do you think they even had to advise him? I mean, he sat there throughout the trial. He knows what he did. Essentially, the car that he was driving had her blood in the back. He lied to folks about it. He almost basically admitted it to police in an interview. All right, looks like the judge is talking. I want to take you back live to the courtroom.
Anyone. A request to discuss either your verdict or your deliberations may come from those who are simply curious, from those who might seek to find fault with you, from the media, from the attorneys, or elsewhere. It will be up to you to decide whether to preserve your privacy as a juror. You also have a 1-year free pass, so if you get another jury summons within the next 12 months, you can simply call the clerk and remind the clerk's office that you did, in fact, already serve your duty recently, and you have a 12-month free pass. That also pertains to our alternates out there, and all 3 alternates stuck around. We appreciate that. But unless you guys have any questions for us, for me, we greatly appreciate your time and commitment to this case, and you are discharged, and we thank you. You just leave your badges on the table or on the seat there. Anywhere be fine. We'll grab them.
All right, so again, you see there Waymore Gerhardt talking to his attorney, whispering, she whispering to him, he whispering to her. He now faces life in prison, of course, without the possibility of parole. This is one of those cases, Alexis, and again, still with us, trial attorney Alexis Rosenberg. This is one of those cases where it always felt like what we call a long walk or a slow walk to a guilty verdict, right? Because essentially, this is one you thought might have pled out, but they chose not to plead out, probably because there were no offers forthcoming. So you basically go through the motions and you get your guilty verdict.
I I agree. There probably was not a plea on the table. I mean, they had a lot of evidence against him, so I doubt that they offered anything. And also, you always take into consideration the prosecution will also ask the victim's family what they want to happen as well. I mean, this was egregious. You know, the victim was so young, how the situation, you know, came about, the sex with the victim, the acknowledgement of that, and just how she ultimately died. If I was the prosecutor, I wouldn't have offered anything either.
You know, before we turn our eyes over to New Jersey and go to the Canero case, I just want to mention, I want to get your thoughts on one of the things that the defense mentioned in their opening statement, and the prosecution alluded to it as well, was how many people failed the victim in this case. This young girl, 14 years old, she was living with her grandmother. At so many steps, she was involved in drugs, and again, I mentioned some of the other things she was doing. Just mention, again, I don't want to forget, you know, the victim in this case, this young girl. We're looking at pictures of her doing things that young women do, but yet because of the way, the situation she was living in and folks failing her at a number of levels, she was forced into this lifestyle that sort of led her to a bad place.
It's very, very sad. I mean, we have a 14-year-old, and we don't. Michael, you're right. We don't want to forget the victim because it's tragic. It sounds like there were a lot of tragedies that were going on in her life, but for the situation, maybe she would not have been there with that person. However, the bottom line is she did not deserve to be murdered, even if she had placed herself for whatever reason in those situations.
And you know, I'll never forget, part of the testimony was one of her good friends, Keith, talked about the fact that she had this weird feeling about Waymore. So her instincts were still intact, you know, so they had to kind of come up with this ruse to get her in a room alone with him. So it's just a shame all the way around.